they're set. Come on up. Good morning. Come on up, choir. You're up after the opening words. Get on up here. Good morning, everyone. Hey. It's so wonderful to see you all. Here's our opening reading while our choir settles in. This is Water by Philip Larkin. If I were called in to construct a religion, I should make use of water. Going to church would entail affording to dry different clothes. My liturgy would employ images of sousing, a furious devout drench. And I should raise in the east a glass of water where any angled light would congregate endlessly.
So welcome to First Parish in Bedford, a Unitarian Universalist congregation where people have been gathering for almost 300 years to create a more loving way of being in the world together. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you worship one God, many gods, or no God, you are welcome here. I'm Jamie Hinson-Rieger, your new senior minister, and I am delighted to be with you this morning. Also serving on the ministry team is Reverend Annie Gonzalez, Minister of Faith Development. Lisa Maria Andriola Steinberg, Director of Faith Development for Children. Brad Connor, Music Director Extraordinaire in the back. And Natan Wythe, Youth Choir's Director. And we would be completely remiss not to name and thank the amazing administrative staff, Brenda Rybicki and Stacy Katz. I want to say a big hello to everyone joining us on Zoom today here in the sanctuary. You can wave to the people on Zoom. Thank you for being with us this morning. You are all on mute during the service, but I encourage you to use the chat to say hello to one another. Feel free to give a little love to the musicians. We'll make sure they see your comments. And there will be a special time for you to share during the water communion service later in the service. Before we get underway, I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to everyone who helped make this service today possible. It really does take a village to make Sunday morning happen. The sign-up genius alone for today's service had like 26 volunteer slots. They were all filled. That's amazing. So please give a big round of applause to all of the volunteers. Another round of applause, please, for the musicians, the choir, Joanne and Ted on bagpipes, and of course the Tylers. And Sandra. I'm so sorry. And Sandra. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And finally, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to every parent, grandparent, guardian, and caregiver who brought your little ones and your not so little ones, and maybe even some of their friends to be with us here today. We know it is no small task to wrangle a family unit out the door and off to church on Sunday morning, and we are grateful for their presence and for your presence, so thank you. Today is our annual Ingathering service, the special service every year where we welcome one another fully back into community after the relative downtime of the summer and we kick off a new church year. Ingathering is also when we have our water communion ceremony, which is a ritual unique to Unitarian Universalism, in which we symbolize and celebrate the blending together of our individual gifts and talents, aspirations, and life experiences into one beloved spiritual community. Many of you will have brought water with you that represents in some way your life over the summer or has special significance to you. If you didn't bring water with you, you should have picked up a vial of water at one of the entrances. If you didn't do that, there is water in a vase here that you can use later in the service. So we have you covered. We have you covered. And if our opening reading has you concerned, I promise no one will be soused or otherwise drenched during today's service. That's why we brought you indoors. When you arrive today, you should also have picked up a little colorful tube of blowing bubbles. Their purpose is fun. Bubbles are to be blown freely throughout the service as the Spirit moves you. Now, an important announcement from the membership committee. Our new photo directory will help us get to know each other more easily. You can make an appointment to be photographed by going to the church website. There's a link to click. You can make an appointment today. You can also stop at the sign-up table and let Nina Wampler help you. Be photographed for the new directory. Receive your copy of the directory, an 8x10 portrait of your family at no charge. To get your copy of the directory, you must be in the directory, so make your appointment. Please do your part to make this the best directory ever. Finally, last announcement. After the service today, everyone here on campus is invited to stay for ice cream and popcorn and a bunch of fun activities for all ages that the Ingathering team has been putting together. I'm happy to say also the new superintendent of Bedford Public Schools, Cliff Chong, will be joining us after the service to say hello and hear your thoughts and concerns and just to chat to get to know us all better. For those of you joining us on Zoom, we'll leave the Zoom room open after the service so you can say hello to each other and catch up and connect. I encourage you to eat popcorn and ice cream at home. And now I would like to invite up your board president, Sarah Dorr, for a welcome message of her own and a moment of special recognition.
So good morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me? Great. Okay. So I have three things that I need to do up here this morning. The first is greeting all of you to a new church year. The second one is a tribute to Rich and Nancy Doherty, our beloved Rich and Nancy Doherty, who will be leaving us at the end of the month to move to Indiana. And the third is to read a poem written for them by our beloved Lois Pulliam. So a few minutes here. So first of all, welcome back to yet another church year. It's our 294th year as a beloved church community gathered on the Bedford Common. After 2 very challenging years of transition, we are so excited to welcome Reverend Jamie as Senior Minister to First Parish. This past summer, I heard Dean Groves sing a song entitled Woyaya. Some of you may know it. That word means we are going. And as soon as I heard it, I felt we should have been singing it the past 2 years. Part of the song goes like this, and I'm not going to sing, so you can hear Dean's voice perhaps. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within that we'll get there. Heaven knows how we'll get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we know that we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. So we got there as a congregation last May when we called Jamie to this pulpit. He now joins the long list of ministers who have served this church over the centuries. We've begun the next chapter of our history in which all of us have a role to play. So welcome back to a new and exciting year. That's my welcoming. So now, a new hat. So this is a Doherty family hat. Every Sunday, we recite in unison, and I know that we'll do this in a few minutes, but please bear with me as I say it with you, as I say it now. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. You'll get your chance in a few minutes. This is our great covenant to seek the truth in love and to help one another. Last night, we had a wonderful going away party for Rich and Nancy. Many of you were here. And so we spoke these words to them. I wanted to make sure everybody heard them. Rich and Nancy, we can't think of 2 people who abide more by this covenant on a daily basis than the 2 of you. I think of all the lives that you have touched and saved, probably, both at church and in the broader communities of Bedford, Boston, Indiana, and Abyshvalva, Transylvania. You are pillars of this community. Both of you are doers, you are visionaries, and you are mentors who serve with compassion, kindness, and humor. I can't possibly list all the things that you have done here at church over the years, but I think we can all agree that you have done everything that everyone can think of. It's so hard to imagine that the next few years will be without you. We know your family needs you in Indiana. On behalf of the whole congregation, I'd like to thank you for being such incredible mentors and role models to all of us here. We will carry on, we will wish you well, and we will welcome you back with open arms. And now, Lois Pulliam's poem. You're great, Lois. Rich and Nancy say they're leaving, pulling up stakes for 2 whole years. You can see why our church is grieving. You can see kisses, hugs, and tears. Imagine the church minus can-do Nancy, talent in every direction there is. I imagine town meeting without Rich's comments. No one's opinions are as funny as his. Potlucks on Fridays will somehow seem sadder, while Indiana kin will turn up gladder. Whatever had happened that you might need, you could count on the Dohertys to say, yes, indeed. How many committees have both of you led? How much did they both keep us out of the red? She's been around since '66, and he joined in '77. That's 1977. They both worked hard for years and years, so both are surely headed for heaven. As they hit the road, we must let them go, but our hearts will forever yearn. We're making it clear, right now and right here, that the 2 of them have to return. So thank you.
True. It's true. And now we're going to light our chalice. Our chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, a beacon of inspiration and hope, a reminder of our commitment to keep the flame of liberal religion alive and burning brightly in our hearts and in our world. For those joining on Zoom, we hope that you can light a chalice in your home or in your heart. And you can also symbolically post, I like this idea. This is an idea from Jamie. I like this one. You can also post in the chat, lights chalice. Lights chalice. Just do it in the chat. But here in the sanctuary, I'm going to invite the Tumbleson Shaw family up to light our chalice right here. Mariah and Scott and Thalia have all been putting in a lot of work to make our Ingathering celebration today a success, and we're so grateful that they're part of our church community. And now, indeed, it is our turn to say the unison affirmation. Will you please rise in body or in spirit and say these words with me this morning? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley. Este es nuestro gran pacto, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor, de amor, y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. You may be seated.
Good morning. I see smiles. Look to your left. There's a smile. Look to your right. There's a smile. We have our smiles to share in this space again, and I am delighted. So, I have a story for you. It is one I have told many times at many water communions. This is my 16th Ingathering water communion as a religious educator, and this is one of my faves. And luckily, I found out it's one of Jamie's faves too. So, bonus. So once upon a time, there was a drop of water named Higgins, and he was not your regular drop of water. He had big ideas. He was a dreamer. And he lived in this valley that used to be full of green grass and brilliantly colored flowers, but they'd been getting brown and kind of wilty lately. But Higgins had a dream that one day, maybe the valley could be a beautiful place again. But he was just one drop of water. But Higgins thought about it, and he thought, okay, I'm gonna tell other people that I have this dream, that the valley could be lush and green and vibrantly colored again. And so he went around and he talked to all the other drops of water. And they would listen very politely, but not many of them really bought into it. They're like, dude, you're kind of up in the clouds. Dreams are great, really great, but this just doesn't make any sense. We don't like this. But Higgins, he didn't give up easy. Does anybody think that this church gives up easy? I don't know. That's why I think this is good, because you guys don't give up. So, he was walking along and he came across a bucket. And he saw this really big bucket. And he thought, okay, all right, so I'm just one drop of water. But what if I can get everybody else who's a drop of water to go in the bucket with me? Okay? So Higgins went back and he's like, all right, everybody, this is what we're gonna do. We're all gonna get in the bucket, like right now, get in the bucket. And they're like, yeah, no, we're good. That's not a thing. That's not gonna work. But Higgins said, you know, I'm gonna do it, and I really hope that you'll follow me, because I think we can have a beautiful, green, wonderful, brightly colored valley again. So Higgins went, and he jumped in the bucket. And he sat there, just a drop in the bucket. And it was kind of lonely. I mean, this is a pretty big bucket. He was just one drop. But as time went on, the other water droplets were like, yeah, I really do miss all those flowers. And like, you know, there used to be just like soft grass, and now it's just like dry and straw, and that hurts, it's itchy. So they're like, all right, I'm going to the bucket. So 2 other drops went in the bucket. And then everybody else said, wait for us. I'm going in. And they kept going in. More water drops. They kept going in. And pretty soon, the bucket was full. So then some other drops were like, well, let's go find another bucket. So they went and they found another bucket. There's 2 buckets, there's 3 buckets, there's 4 buckets. And then there were so many buckets. And then a powerful breeze came by and knocked them over. And all the water flowed into the valley. And everywhere the water flowed, the grass turned green again, the flowers bloomed, and the trees stood tall and straight. And all this happens because Higgins was a drop with a dream. 1 drop in the bucket made a difference. And because he knew that there was enough buckets to do this, he knew that when the waters would roll down, the justice would flow with righteousness like a mighty stream through all of the valley, because Higgins was a drop with a dream. Thank you all so much for listening.
I think many of the drops in this congregation have big dreams and have led us to many wonderful buckets. Now is a time to, in fact, collect some resources from all of us to sustain this congregation and help it grow. We will be passing the offering bags, not quite buckets, but you can throw your drop in there or online. You can also give using One Church. You can give on the First Parish website. Please join in flowing towards this community to sustain and strengthen it. All that is given with generosity will be gratefully received.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I'll dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough and friends just can't be found. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing by your side like a bridge over troubled waters. I will ease your mind like a bridge over troubled waters. I will ease your mind.
Thank you. I also want to give a thanks to the young people in the balconies who are doing an excellent job providing a stream of bubbles coming down on us. Nicely done. This is a digression concerning ironing. Digression concerning ironing. You've no doubt put it together that this is a service of water imagery and water-based metaphors being our water communion service. And in that spirit, I'm going to offer one more water-themed story that I share with you intentionally for the start of this new church year. So as you know, or probably know, my family just moved from Indianapolis to Bedford so that I could begin serving as your senior minister. My wife, Suzanne, is now serving as the Director of Family Religious Education at North Parish in North Andover. And the way this move went is I drove up myself, well, with our golden retriever, Molly. I drove up from Indy on July 30th, arrived here on July 30th to start August 1st. Suzanne and our daughter Jordan and our black lab Shadow arrived a few days later, but our stuff, which was on a semi-truck, was not set to arrive until August 9th. So that meant we had this kind of in-between time where we had to live on what we could put in our cars. And First Parish was very helpful in providing like some chairs and tables and an air mattress, thank you Rich, and all these kinds of things. So I brought with me in my car my clothes, my laptop, and some pots and pans, dishes, toothbrush, my guitar, coffee maker, very important, some spices to cook with a phone charger, you know, all these kinds of things. But one thing that I forgot to bring was an iron. And this is a bit of a problem because I had to start work on August 1st, and meanwhile all of my clothes had just been like decrammed from a very crammed, actually jam-packed, like bursting at the seams suitcase, and so they were very, very wrinkled. Now, my wife Suzanne is, among other things, a wizard at online shopping. And pretty much no sooner had I explained my predicament over the phone to her, she was back in Indy, remember? No sooner had I explained that I cannot believe I forgot to pack the stupid iron, she says a clothes steamer is going to arrive first thing tomorrow morning. Clothes steamer. I'd never used a clothes steamer before, never even seen one. But Suzanne figured, and I could not fault her reasoning, there were already at least 2 irons on a semi-truck making their way to Bedford. Why buy a 3rd iron? Why not at least get something we didn't already have? Maybe we love it. Maybe this is the best thing that ever happened to us in the area of matters pertaining to de-wrinkling clothes. So yeah, it arrived the next morning. As promised, I unpacked it. If you've never seen one, it's a very small handheld appliance. It's about the size of an iron or a hairdryer. It's kind of shaped like E.T. the extraterrestrial, maybe Wall-E. And it's very simple. You put water in one end, you plug it in, and in a hot second, steam comes pouring out the other end. But when it comes to actually de-wrinkling clothes, it works very differently than a traditional iron. And I know this because I watched a YouTube video to learn how to use this thing, right? And an iron, as you know, a regular iron is a super hot piece of hard steel that you apply like directly to your clothes, and it's rigid and it's unyielding, and that combination of heat and pressure like flattens every fiber of your clothing into place until the wrinkles are just gone, right? Like heat and pressure, and you pummel and fry every fiber of your clothes into order. As you know, if you're not careful, you can actually scorch and ruin your clothes with a traditional iron. A steam iron is totally different. With a steam iron, you never even touch the iron to your clothes. You hold the clothes on a frame and you kind of pass the wand over the clothes, and this cloud of warm steam envelops the clothing, and bathed in all that warmth and moisture, the fibers of the clothing just like, they just relax, right? They just ease their way out of their wrinkled state. It's very satisfying to watch. But it also takes a little bit longer. It takes a little bit longer to coax each wrinkle into this blissed out Zen state. Then you have to wait even a little longer because the clothes are like damp now. They have to dry out a little bit. It's a little tricky, honestly, to stretch the clothes and do the thing. It's like a little dance that you're doing with your clothes that you have to get used to. So the whole process requires patience and care. It's also better for your clothes in the long run. So, I've been preaching for 10 years. I know a good metaphor when it fogs up my bathroom mirror. On the one hand, you've got this process that's like rigid and unyielding, heat and pressure, forcing every stray thing into just the perfect shape you want it to be, versus bathing the whole thing in warmth and moisture until it relaxes into the shape it was always intended to have. The one is expedient, the other maybe takes a little more time, a little more patience, a little more grace, but it's better in the long run. And I thought, oh, this is like ironing as a spiritual practice, right? Like inviting me to like slow down, enter this gentle process, relax my spirit with the garment, like that's so good. Now, full disclosure, I bought an iron 2 days later. A proper iron, right? I bought one at CVS by like Wednesday. But as it turns out, I only have so much time in the morning to get ready for work. But that's okay, right? Sometimes you have to kind of ease into a new spiritual practice. I may yet take up steam ironing for the weekend, who knows? Okay, but I share this metaphor for you as we enter this new church here, because I know that you all love this community, and you love this congregation, and you have high hopes for it, for this church here. Especially coming out of this disruption of the last few years, I know there are high hopes for this church here. And high hopes can become high expectations. And because we are UUs, and we value excellence and achievement, and many of us are like planners and doers, we're used to accomplishing things on a very high level, which is a good thing. Well, these high expectations can turn into high pressure, right? There is always more that needs to be done in the life of a church. There is always more that could be done, always more that could be done than there are resources and volunteers to actually do the thing. And when we try to make everything happen anyway, applying the heat and pressure of those expectations, well, if we're not careful, the heat and pressure can burn us out. So I just want to remind us all, church is not supposed to burn you out. And we are not supposed to burn each other out. And my hope for this year is that we experience this spiritual community as that warm cloud enveloping the Spirit, right? Inviting us to relax into the shape that we were always meant to be. We should leave our time together, whether it's a Sunday service, a small group, a committee meeting, a rally. We should leave our time feeling renewed and restored, not scorched. And if in the process of not burning each other out, things take a little more time, our garments are a little more wrinkled, metaphorically speaking, it will be okay. So take a breath with me now and just invite your body to relax. Just like that, it will be okay.
Thank you. Places I Have Heard the Ocean by Faith Sharon. In a cat's throat, in a shell I hold to my ear, though I'm told this is the sound of my own blood. I have heard the ocean in the city, cars against the beach of our street, or in the subway waiting for a train that carries me like a current. In my bed, place of high and low tide, or in my daughter's skates rolling over the sidewalk. Ocean and trees when they fill their heads with wind. Ocean in the rise and fall. Lungs of everyone I love.
Just a little bit of history. The water communion ceremony that we are about to join into has a unique history that speaks to the richness and the creativity of the Unitarian Universalist tradition. The first water communion ceremony, which was actually just called a water ritual, was written by two women, Lucille Shuck Longview and Carolyn McDade, who you may know is the author of the song Spirit of Life, among many other things. It was created for a UU Women and Religion Spirituality Conference, which was held in East Lansing, Michigan in 1980. Shout out to the Midwest. Brilliant things happening in the Midwest. The idea was to draw on the primal symbolism of water as the source of life, as the connecting element flowing through all living things. Water calling to mind rainfall, rivers, storms, tears, the ocean, the womb. And around this, they built this ritual of connection and community, and in that particular original context of healing. The service was arranged in this semicircle around an earthen vessel, breaking the tradition of like pews facing forward. Each woman brought a container of water that had a special meaning for her, shared with the group why it was significant, and then they poured the waters together. And from this particular beginning, the ritual spread far and wide through our congregations. Its meaning transformed over time. We now know it as a ritual of ingathering, of coming back together. It has become one of the most distinctive and widely observed common rituals of our tradition. And what I want to note and celebrate here first is that the water communion, like much of modern Unitarian Universalist practice, has its roots in feminism, in women's spirituality, and in deep ecology, in our relationship to the earth and the forces of life. And that's like many things, right? The 7 principles actually have the same root. The 7 principles emerged from the women in religious movement within UU in the 1980s. Traditions around sharing of joys and sorrows and lighting of candles emerged from that same movement. And this new language and these new ways of making meaning together that were sort of rich in symbolism and more embodied and a little bit more emotional maybe, they became possible because our tradition opened up to a range of fuller life experiences. In this case, the experiences of women. And Unitarian Universalism learned to honor more diverse understandings and more diverse expressions of spirituality and meaning. So this is what it means when we talk about being a living tradition. The water communion is part of our living tradition. And the second thing that I want to note is that the water communion, like many UU traditions, spread throughout our movement from the bottom up, not top down. It came from the laity, not the clergy. It was not imposed from above. It was never officially adopted by any church body. It was just something that one group of UUs did, that another group of UUs got excited about, and then another, and it spread. And as such, it represents the creativity and the empowerment and the grassroots spirit of our tradition. The chalice lighting that we do every Sunday is another example of this. No one really knows how it came to be that every UU congregation lights a chalice. We think maybe that emerged from religious education and the worship services of children and youth, right? But it was not top down. It just kind of arose from within. So when we say that ours is a living tradition that we create together, that is what we mean. And that is in the end what the water communion has come to really celebrate. It celebrates the way in which we all come together, each bearing our individual life experiences, each our own understanding of that which is sacred or holy or life-giving. We bring our individual gifts with us every time we come through these doors. And when we bring those gifts together, and when we're open to one another's gifts, we create and recreate the shared life of our religious community over and over again. And we create and recreate our living tradition over and over again. It's a magical thing. And so we're going to recreate that ritual again today at the start of our year. And I'm going to explain how this is going to work. You were invited to bring water today that in some way symbolizes your life over the summer or is in some way meaningful to you. People bring water from their travels, from their gardens, from their kitchens, from taps and ponds and rain barrels and backyards, new homes, old homes. It's water that symbolizes your life and your experience. And during this ceremony, in a moment, we will invite you to come forward and pour that water into the common vessel. It will be blended with the offering of every other person. And this symbolizes how we bring the fruits of our individual life experiences back into this space where they're offered up in love to one another. We recognize that the life of this church is something that we are creating and renewing together, and we all have our own portion to add to the overall depth and richness of this community. Together, we're creating something that is larger, deeper, richer, more vital than any one of us alone, but of which we are a vital piece. If you did not bring water today, just a reminder, there were vials you could pick up on your way in, and we have a pitcher that you can pour from as well. After we have gathered all the water, the collected water will be sterilized and will be used for ceremonies and special occasions throughout the church year. But before we bring our water up to share, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to make some offerings. Now, originally, when we were all going to be outside, these were going to be libations, which is to say we were going to pour a little bit of water onto the earth, which is a very ancient practice. It is found in almost every culture in almost every part of the world, pouring out a little bit to make an offering to the spirit of life. Now that we have moved inside, I feel it would be less optimal for all of you to pour water onto the carpet. I feel like I would hear about that from someone. So instead of pouring water like a libation, we're going to raise our glass or vial or jar or medicine bottle or Ziploc baggie or whatever you brought water in. We're going to raise it up like a toast, which is a different way of paying our respects. Like a toast. Please don't sip your water. I don't know where that came from. We're just going to raise it up. And each time we raise up our glass, whatever it is you've got, we're offering our respect first to the earth, as a recognition of our dependence on the earth and our gratitude for the ways in which the earth supports us. The earth is the source of water and the source of life. And then in true Unitarian Universalist fashion, I invite you to add whatever other layers of meaning might speak to you. There's a meme going around the internet right now about UU churches that says, an atheist, a Christian, and a pagan walk into a church. We call that Sunday. So as you raise your glass, jar, vial, whatever, you may wish to offer your thanks and respect to the ancestors. You may wish to toast the spirit of life or love. You may wish to give your thanks to God or Goddess or the gods, whatever speaks to you, right? Whatever language speaks in your heart, say that as you lift up your glass. We're going to make 4 toasts, so get your water ready, whatever it may be, and Annie is going to lead the first one.
We make our first offering in honor of the power of possibility and transformation. Water changes states, it changes forms, it flows and moves, causes seeds to grow, brings new life into this world. So if there is transformation that you are hoping for or that is happening in your life right now, I invite you to lift up your vessel in honor of change and growth. And we will say, to new life, to new life.
We make our next offering in honor of Unitarian Universalism as a justice-seeking tradition. If the water you are most longing for today is the water that bursts the dams of prejudice asunder, if, in the words of the prophets and our story for all ages today, you are longing for justice that rolls down like water and peace like an ever-flowing stream, raise up your vessel in honor of the forces of social change and say, to justice. To justice. And remember that it is not only the furious power and energy of water that changes the landscape, but the gentle, persistent flow of water over time can cut through granite.
If some of the water you are sharing today has the element of tears, if your water carries the memory of storms or floods, of things lost or swept away, I invite you to raise your vessel in recognition of our sorrows. Thich Nhat Hanh says, when the rain of compassion falls, even a desert becomes an immense green ocean. Raise your vessel of water now in the name of kindness, care, and healing, and say, to compassion. To compassion.
Finally, we honor water as the element which sustains all life. However parched the land may seem, there are deep well springs of spirit waiting to be struck. There is fresh water waiting to spring out from the rock. Let us honor the forces that sustain us when we are tired, that buoy us up when we are low, the sources of hope and courage that keep us moving forward in spite of life's challenges. Let us raise our vessels of water in honor of the restorative powers of life itself. Ask that our hearts be open and our spirits strong, and say, to hope. To hope. Now, having honored the earth and honored the forces of transformation, justice, compassion, and hope, let us come together again to build the beloved community for the new year with our water ceremony. And this is how this is going to work. We want to keep people from running into each other, so we're going to start in the back. People in the back come up the middle, pour your water. You don't have to pour all of it, but if that fills up, we have another basin to employ. Pour your water and then move around the sides and back. People on the outside, same thing. Come up the middle, pour your water, and then around back. So we want people moving like this so we're not running into each other. Please be mindful of the equipment in the back so that no one trips. In the gallery space, there are vases in each section of the gallery. You can pour your water in that vase. We will bring it down later and add it to the whole. On Zoom, please feel free to post in the chat the meaning of the water you would like to share. We will pour some for you at the end. And now I invite you to come up and pour in your waters. The spirit of so many people flows through this community, stretching back through many lives, many generations, as a stream fed by the springs of all of our understandings and experiences. Today, we each pour our spirit into this living stream that it may be a source of refreshment and renewal to all who come to it. May we continue to learn and grow from one another, and may we find renewed energy and purpose for the new church year. Blessed be, and amen. Our closing hymn today is by Fea Ora Rose Touré. Ms. Touré is a Harvard-educated civil rights activist and attorney. She was the first African-American female judge in Alabama. As an attorney, she helped win the largest civil rights case in history. She is also a songwriter who wrote hymn number 1007 in our teal hymnal. The lyrics are easy to remember. You don't really need the hymnal, although grab it if you want it. But Natan is going to lead us through and help us in singing it. So please rise in body or spirit and join in singing "There's a River Flowing in My Soul."
There's a great opportunity. We're going to sing, "There's a river flowing in my soul, there's a river flowing in my heart, a river flowing in my mind," and then afterwards we're just going to sing, "There's a river flowing." I think the hymnal says many times. It's a great opportunity for some harmony. You can improvise a little bit, have a little fun. Here we go. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart, in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing. 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 There's a river flowing.
Our benediction is by Lucille Clifton, a poem called "Blessing the Boats." May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever. And may you, in your innocence, sail through this to that. Blessings on all of us this year as we sail together from this to that. Blessings to this gathered community and its radical invitation to love and service, and blessings on each of you. You are a gift, and this community would not be and could not be what it is without each of you. Welcome home. The disco ball has been lit. Please stay and enjoy some community and the after service activities. Thank you, everyone. Go in peace.